Good day, America, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're covering a major development in America's ongoing debate over crime, politics, and the reach of federal power. President Donald Trump has ordered the deployment of the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee, described the city as deeply troubled, citing violent crime and community unrest. Supporters call this a bold step toward restoring law and order, while critics warn it's an overreach, a dangerous precedent for American cities. So why Memphis? What does this deployment mean for residents? And is this the beginning of a new era of federal force in U.S. cities? Let's break it down. On Friday morning, speaking from the White House, President Trump confirmed the deployment of National Guard troops to Memphis. He stated, "The situation is unacceptable. The people of Memphis deserve peace, and we will give it to them." The announcement follows weeks of escalating political rhetoric about crime in American cities. While violent crime in Memphis has actually declined in some categories, the city still ranks near the top nationally for assaults, robberies, and homicides. The president framed this move as part of his broader campaign to crack down on urban crime, a promise he has repeated since 2016. But for many in Memphis, the decision feels like Washington is stepping directly onto their streets. Inside Memphis, reactions are divided. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, a Republican, welcomed the move. He argued that the Guard will work alongside state and federal agencies, providing support for local police and easing the burden on overworked officers. Memphis Mayor Paul Young, a Democrat, strongly opposed the deployment. He stressed that he did not request the Guard's presence, and instead called for long-term investments in housing, mental health services, and youth programs. The solutions, he says, truly prevent crime. Community voices reflect this divide. Some residents in high-crime neighborhoods believe extra boots on the ground could make streets safer. Others worry that soldiers patrolling neighborhoods will escalate tensions, leading to confrontations rather than solutions. Let's look at the numbers. Memphis, with a population of roughly 620,000, has one of the highest violent crime rates in the nation. Nearly 1 in 4 residents lives in poverty, about double the national average. Yet in the past year, crime in Memphis has actually declined in several major categories. The homicide rate dropped. Robberies decreased. Carjackings, which had spiked in 2022, eased back. So why now? The administration argues that despite these improvements, Memphis remains unsafe. Critics counter that the timing is political. A high-profile show of force meant to dominate headlines. This isn't the first time America has seen troops in its cities. The National Guard has been called out many times in U.S. history. In the 1960s, they were deployed to control riots in Detroit, Newark, and Los Angeles. In 1992, they returned to Los Angeles after the Rodney King verdict. More recently, in 2020, they were sent to multiple cities during nationwide protests after the killing of George Floyd. But there's a key difference here. In most of those cases, governors requested the Guard to respond to unrest. In Memphis, the deployment is coming directly from the federal government, without the mayor's consent. That raises new questions about local versus federal control. Civil liberties groups are already sounding alarms. They've warned that using military forces and everyday policing risks eroding constitutional rights. Under U.S. law, the National Guard can serve under state or federal authority. The distinction matters. Once federalized, local leaders lose oversight. Critics fear blurred lines. Who do the soldiers answer to? What happens if they clash with protesters? And how long will they remain on the streets? The administration insists that safeguards are in place. But history shows that once the Guard arrives, missions can expand. Make no mistake, this is political as much as practical. President Trump has repeatedly focused on Democrat-led cities when talking about crime. Memphis, with its Democratic mayor and high poverty rate, fits that narrative. Republicans frame the deployment as restoring order, Democrats argue it's about scoring political points. With an election year approaching, every move carries extra weight. At the heart of this story, however, are the people of Memphis. For a single mother working 2 jobs, what does a National Guard presence mean? Will she feel safer walking home at night or more anxious seeing military vehicles parked on her block? For young men in struggling neighborhoods, does this signal protection or confrontation? For downtown businesses, will this bring calm that attracts customers or chaos that drives them away? Numbers and politics aside, what truly matters is how families, workers, and children experience this new reality in their daily lives. And the ripple effects go beyond Memphis. If the Guard is deemed effective here, will other cities be next? President Trump has already hinted at possible deployments in Chicago and New Orleans. Civil rights groups warn that this sets a dangerous precedent, where federal troops bypass local leaders to police American streets. Internationally, America's allies are watching closely. As the self-proclaimed champion of democracy, the United States is now debating the use of military forces against its own citizens. That image carries weight abroad, and consequences for unity at home. So where does this leave us? Memphis has become a testing ground for crime policy, presidential power, and America's fragile balance between liberty and order. The move may bring relief, it may bring resistance. Most likely, it will bring both. But one thing is certain, the eyes of the nation are on Memphis. And what happens here could shape the future of American cities. You've been watching our deep dive into the National Guard deployment in Memphis. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more daily U.S. news, and tap the bell so you never miss an update. Now we turn it over to you. Do you think the Guard will make Memphis safer? Or is this a dangerous expansion of federal power? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'll feature some of your voices in our upcoming coverage.